You a Bee? By Judy Allen and Tudor Humphreys. Are you a bee? Perhaps you are a honey bee. If so, your mother is a queen. She looks like this, and she lays eggs. Your life began inside one of her eggs. When you hatch, you are not a pretty sight. You are a larva. You are in a small room with 6 walls. It's called a cell. Your older sisters bring you food. Eat it and grow. Grow until you fill your cell. One of your older sisters puts a wax ceiling on your cell. Inside your closed cell, you change a lot. When you are ready, chew a hole in the ceiling and climb out. Now you look like a bee. You have a hairy body with stripes, 6 legs and 4 wings. You have 2 feelers on your head. You have a stinger. You are not alone. You have a few hundred brothers and thousands of sisters. You live in a nest built by your older sisters. Your nest might be in a hollow tree. It might hang from a tree branch. Most likely it will be inside a hive. Your brothers are drones. They don't do much. You and your sisters are workers. You do everything. You clean the nest, feed the larva, take care of the queen, and build new cells. You fan the nest with your wings to cool it in the summer. You guard the nest to keep out strange bees. Busy, busy, busy. Leave the nest to fetch food from flowers. How will you know where to look? Your sisters will make up a dance to tell you. Watch the dance carefully. Don't worry, you'll understand it. You're a bee. There is sweet liquid in flowers. It's called nectar, and it's hidden deep inside. This is not a problem. You have a long tongue. You can reach it. You also have a special stomach to carry it in. You'll get pollen dust all over you. Scrape it off with your front legs and put it in the pollen baskets on your back legs. When you get home, your sisters will help you. Put the nectar and the pollen into storage cells. Mix some of the nectar with pollen to make bee bread. Leave the rest of the nectar to turn into honey. Bee bread is good to eat, so is honey. If you find a new patch of flowers, be sure to tell your sisters. How? Dance, of course. More eggs hatch, more larvae turns into bees. The nests get very crowded. What will happen next? The old queen, your mother, leaves. She takes you and a lot of your sisters with her. Deep in the nest, a royal larva is hatching. She's a different kind of cell, and she is fed rich food called royal jelly. When she becomes a queen, she is a young queen. She flies away and mates with drones from another nest so that she can lay eggs. When she flies home again, she will be the new queen. Fly with your sisters. Follow the old queen. Stay together. You're part of a swarm. When the queen stops, swarm around her. Now you must build a new nest. But where? Maybe the queen will send scout bees to find a good place. Or maybe a beekeeper will find you and take you all to an empty hive. Why is the beekeeper dressed like this? In case you get flustered and try to sting. However, if your mother looks a little like this, or this, or this, you are not a bee. You are a human child. You do not have a hairy body with stripes on it. You do not have a long tongue. You do not have a stinger. It is very unlikely that you have hundreds of brothers and thousands of sisters. But you can do a lot of things that a bee cannot do. You can still eat bread and honey, but you'll never have to fetch your food from flowers. Best of all, you don't have to be busy, busy, busy all day long. Did you know bees are happy to live in a hive? Because the beekeeper has already built part of the nest for them. If bees live in a hollow tree, they have to build the whole nest themselves. A worker bee can sting only once, then it dies, but a queen can sting many times. Bees carry pollen from flower to flower on their furry bodies. The pollen from one flower rubs off onto other flowers and makes seeds which grow into plants. The average worker bee makes 1.5 teaspoons of honey in her lifetime. Hi! Did you enjoy the book, Are You a Bee? One of my favorites. think I have a lot of favorite books. So I have with me today not a real bee, of course, but I have a model of a bee. So here we can see up close a real bee, what a real bee would look like. Obviously, I am not going to be holding a real bee. Maybe some of the teachers from middle school might, but I don't think I would bring in a real bee here today. So let's take a look at our bee. So I'm going to drop down the camera. And we read that a bee is an insect. So we always want to check to see if it has the number of legs an insect needs and the number of body parts an insect needs. Do you remember how many legs are needed to be an insect? Good job, 6. So let's count its legs. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 legs on our bee. How many body parts does an insect have? Right again, 3. Let's check the body parts. 1, 2, 3. Head, thorax, abdomen. That's reminding me of a song that I need to look up about, you know how you do head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Head, thorax, abdomen, abdomen. Head, thorax, abdomen. Oh, that reminds me of that song. I may have to find that again. Sorry about that. So here we go. The bee. Now, a bee has a life cycle like many insects do. And it begins its life cycle as an egg. And the queen bee lays eggs. She can lay up to 2,000 eggs. And they can be quite small. They can be the size of a pin. They're so little. And here is half of a hexagon. So if you can imagine the other half of this creating a hexagon-shaped cell, and the eggs are inside these cells. So she lays them in these protected cells, and they will sit there and develop into larvae. And it takes about 3 to 4 days for the eggs to hatch, and it hatches into the larva. So here is a model of a larva. It doesn't really look much like a bee. Remember in our book where it said that you don't look much like a bee? So here is what the larva looks like there. So as it begins to develop, you can start to see the eyes and the wings and the legs, and it takes about 6 days for 6 to 11 days actually for this insect to go from a pupa into an adult. The adult bees in the hive have different jobs and different lifespans. So depending on whether it's a worker bee or a queen bee, it can be busy doing different things. So there is the life cycle of the honeybee.